brands like the Knot, which I'm sure all of you are familiar with, thank you, the Bump, the Nest, Gig Masters, and Lasting. And since our founding in 1996, we have always used our family of brands to promote women empowerment. So whether that's empowering a bride to make a tradition her own, or whether it's about telling a mom to let go of the mom guilt. So, so we decided to really double down on this sentiment of empowering women with our FoundHERS program. And one of the ways that we do that is with this speaker series, where we really talk to empowering women and women who are in successful female-led businesses, and hear their stories and what is motivating them and what can we learn from them. So it's really my pleasure to introduce Pnina Tornai. She is an exceptional female leader. She's an exceptional female leader who has made such a huge impact in the bridal fashion industry. So thank you so much for being here.
Thank you so much for having me.
This is my second time.
Thank you so much, all of you, for coming. I know it's cold outside, and I do not take this for granted, so thank you very, very much.
And this is my second time getting to interview Pnina in less than 2 weeks.
Yes.
So why don't you start by telling us a little bit about yourself? You're originally from Israel, and as I believe you didn't always want to be a fashion designer.
No, I didn't ever want to be a fashion designer. So I'm 5 feet tall, for those of you who don't know, because I cheat. I have 6 inches heels, so for everyone to know. I call them extensions, actually. I don't like to say they're my heels, they're my extensions, because I live on them constantly. And yes, I was born in Israel. My father was a diplomat, so I grew up in Africa. He was assigned to Africa, to Ivory Coast and Liberia, and that's where I grew up.
Oh, wow.
As a young child. And then went back to Israel and finished high school. Of course, I had to do my army service because it's a mandatory.
Yes.
I had no choice, although it was a nightmare. But you have to. It's either that or jail.
Sure.
So I chose army.
It seems like you made the right choice.
Yes. Very difficult fashion-wise. It was awful
I'm sure.
for me.
That was actually the first thing I thought of when I read that. I was like, I wonder how she took to the uniforms.
The army police would catch me every day, literally, with something that wasn't in the protocol.
Sure.
Like, I had these lace socks, I had all kind of, frou-frou stuff, and they would come and say, "Soldier, do you know you're in the army?"
Right.
I said, "No, but please, I can't."
Just give me these lace socks.
I need these shoes. I can't wear the army shoes anyway. So I went back to Israel, and then my father was assigned to the Israeli embassy in Paris, and I joined them after my service, and that's where I met my first husband and stayed for 10 years in Paris. So it was wonderful, because if you ask me, I really feel like I'm international.
Sure.
I speak a lot of languages. I get along very well with different cultures. I love traveling the world and finding out about what are the cultures of every country, and especially in the bridal scene. You have so many beautiful cultures or beliefs or superstitions, and I love to learn about it.
So you didn't want to be a fashion designer. You actually wanted to be an actress.
Yes.
How did you get into fashion design?
From the day I remember myself, I always wanted to become an actress. So when I was at school, I remember myself, just looking at all the studies we had to learn, and I would say to myself, I don't need geography, I don't need mathematics, I don't need history, I'm going to become an actress. All this is useless for me. So I ended up, becoming a designer, because I truly believe that we have a dream in life, but we also have a calling. And I let life lead me to what my calling is. And being a designer, a fashion designer, specialized in bridal, for me it's very clear today that that was my calling, because I am very privileged to be with women, to meet women at the most vulnerable time of their lives, where they have, a lot of questions, they need guidance.
They're getting a lot of opinions.
Yes, they're getting too many opinions. and I'm very, blessed and privileged to be there for them. So if you would tell me when I was 16 years old, let's say I would dress all my best friends, and I would do that, of course, by creating clothes for them from my mother's tablecloth, most beautiful tablecloth and linen. And every time she looked for something, I would run away from the house. Yes, she knew at the end that it was me. So whenever a friend would tell me, "You're so talented, you have to become a fashion designer," I wouldn't talk to her for at least a week. Like, why are you telling me fashion? Who wants to be a fashion designer? But it did happen, and it's something that chose me more than I chose. It's a profession that chose me more than I chose it.
So you started with a little shop in Tel Aviv where you made evening gowns.
Yes.
How did you get into bridal?
So I had this little store in Tel Aviv, and it was the worst time of my life at the time. And I needed to struggle in order to earn a living. And as I told you before, I never studied, so of course I didn't have a profession and I knew nothing about nothing. But I had a lot of taste in fashion. That was one thing I knew for sure that I had. And I had this little store, and I started, cutting my own dresses, bringing patterns out of them, and creating my own versions and my own dresses. And it took off so quickly. I didn't even have time to blink. So I remember that one day this young woman came into the store and saw a dress in black and said, "I want this dress, but in white because I'm getting married." And I said, "Okay, perfect. As long as I can do that for you, with great pleasure." And they got married in the north of Israel. And one of the common themes in the north of Israel is that there are missiles in the skies, but this time it was right above their chuppah. And a journalist was there and took a picture, and it was on the front page of the newspaper. So you can imagine,
sure,
it was like the best publicity I could have ever had. And quite around that time, I had a dream one night. And in that dream, it was the weirdest dream, because it didn't look like a dream. It looked like a vision. I could see beautiful ball gown dresses falling from the sky in the most beautiful colors, and I could see everything. I could see everything to the little details. I could see the gold threading that was applied in order to embroider the dress, and the jewelry on the dress, and the laces, and everything was so clear to me. So I woke up that morning, and I looked at the sky, and I said, "Okay, God, I understand the message. Okay, I understand. I'm not that ignorant.
I may not know math, but
exactly. I don't know
this.
math, but I understand this. But the only thing I don't know is how I'm going to be able to do it. So please help me.
Sure.
Okay, whatever you do, whatever you help me with, I'll do. It's okay. We're going to give you all the time you need." These are iPhones. They call you right when you don't want them to. Okay, so that's how it started. I knew that it was a message, and I'm the kind of person who believes, and I trust the universe. You can call it however you wish.
Sure.
I call it God. You can call it however you want. But I really do. I truly believe that when something occurs to you, it's for a reason.
Yep.
And I flow with it because it brings me always to a very exciting place. I sometimes feel like Alice in Wonderland.
So how did you find the confidence to take what you were doing in this small shop in Tel Aviv and say, I want to go to the US, and I know I can make it there with my bridal gowns?
Yeah, I heard that song, if you can make it there, you can make it anywhere.
Yeah, exactly.
And because I'm a believer, I believed in it instantly. And it's true. It's definitely true. New York is the only place that if you can make it here, you can make it anywhere. It's like it's the belly button of the world.
Sure.
So because Israel is a very, very small country, and we hardly have the space to write the name of the country on the map, So sometimes we go to the sea and write the last letters, but I like to compare myself to Israel because I'm very, very little, and we both make a lot of noise. So I literally married someone in every family in my country. I married everyone from the underworld to the upper world. I sometimes had in my store the chief of the Israeli mafia and the biggest judge at the same time waiting for their fitting. Quite uncomfortable situation, but they behaved. So one day this opportunity occurred to me to give a fashion show in Los Angeles for charity. And I said, why not? I mean, it's a free trip.
Sure.
And I prepared these dresses, beautiful dresses, and we went to LA. And right after the show, the show was so successful that the women that were guests at that show said, you know what, we can't let you leave tomorrow. We're going to book you a suite at the Beverly Wilshire, and you'll sit there for as many days as you can and just, design dresses for us. We need dresses. Your dresses are so beautiful. We want you to custom make dresses for us.
Sure.
And when my husband saw that, and he's he's a businessman. He's business oriented, and he immediately understood that there was an opportunity to seize, and we decided to find the biggest and the best store in America. Kleinfeld, of course.
So talk about your first meeting with Kleinfeld, because it wasn't the happily ever after that I think everyone thinks it was.
It was traumatizing, because I was already the leading designer in my country.
Sure.
With a lot of confidence, I came to New York with my dresses. And I remember wanting to get an appointment at Kleinfeld, and it was like quite impossible. 13 years ago, how would you ever find a way to contact them? So this bride came to the store with her mother and wanted 2 dresses, one for the bride, one for the mother. And the dresses were very expensive. And they said to me, you know what? The bride said, my father is coming tomorrow to close the deal. When the father came, he said, your dresses are very, very expensive. I said, yes, sir, but they're also very, very beautiful.
Beautiful, sure.
And then he said, listen, we have to barter. There must be a way to barter this deal. And I said, what can you offer me? And he said, I'm an entrepreneur. Whatever you want, you just ask for it. He said, I want a meeting with the owner of Kleinfeld. I thought it was hilarious to ask for that.
Sure.
2 days later, he came up with a meeting, and we were on our way to New York with my dresses. That's what happens when you trust. When you trust the universe, when you trust that what you wish for, what you dream for, always comes true. But you have to believe in it. That's the only condition. Mm-hmm. So there we were at Kleinfeld with the owner, Mara, and the buyer, Dorothy. And the scene that happened wasn't at all expected by me. Dorothy was like going through my dresses and saying to Mara, Mara, what are these dresses? These dresses are never going to sell in the United States, never ever. And I looked at her and I said, but why are you saying this? Like, my dresses, it's something you don't have here. And she said, well, thank God we don't. Your dresses look like lingerie. What is this? They're all see-through. What are these corseted backs? She did not like my dresses at all. Mara was trying to convince her to buy a few. She said, okay, maybe we should get a few, Dorothy, because she felt, sorry for me. I came all the way from Israel, 12 hours flight. And Dorothy, of course, said to her, no, not even a few. We do not want these dresses, Mara. And I was like, why are you so against my dresses? But anyway, I went back home.
And not having sold any to Kleinfeld?
Not having sold, no. I took all my dresses back. It was a clear no. They said, don't call us, we'll call you. And they threw me out the door.
Sure.
They showed me the door. They didn't even give me a glass of water. Which I reclaim one every day since then. Every day I need my bottle of water. Ali's here, she will tell you. Ali's the director of my, so where are you, Ali? Over there. I I request a bottle of water every day. It's from the traumatized. So yes, they threw me out of the door, but they didn't know that when you throw me out of the door, I come back through the window. And I come back big time. This time is like pretty good. So I went back home and I created another collection of 7 dresses, which were more adapted to the American bride at the time, but still had my signature touch. I didn't give up my lace-up corsets, because I said that I saw Gone with the Wind when I was younger. And I said it was fascinating the way she corseted her back, and I was so inspired by it. So I had my corseted backs, my see-through corsets, but I did adapt it a little bit more to the American bride and sent it to Kleinfeld. 2 weeks later, I get a phone call from Mara saying, Pnina, I think we have a problem with your dresses. And I go, no. What problem can you have? I adapted it to the American bride, for God's sake. She said, oh no, we're selling too many. We don't know if you can manufacture that much. And the rest was history. And I'm so proud because I feel like I did effect the landscape of, you know, the bridal dress in America, and there's nothing in the world that I'm prouder of. First of all, because I love America. I think you have the most amazing country in the world, and I'm talking from the bottom of my heart, and I say it back in my country, even though they're very angry. They say, oh, so go live there. And I say, I do. Most of the time I do, yeah, part-time I do. So, no, it's from jealousy talking. So I really am very, very proud.
So you have a lot to be proud of, and you're obviously a huge success. How do you define success? And when did you first say, I am a success?
Well, when I saw the knockoffs of my dresses.
Sure.
And I knew that I was inspiring many other designers. I said, okay, there must be something I'm doing right. But to tell you the truth, success is a very tricky word for me, because I believe that when you feel that you're successful, you somehow stop trying. You somehow say, okay, I'm a great success, so what do I have to prove? I like to prove myself every day over and over again. And how I see success is the day that I will say goodbye to this life. If I know then that I did something to leave a better world behind me, and to inspire people and to help people in any way that I could, then for me, if you ask me, that's the day where I will tell you I am super successful.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
So you say, yeah.
Thank you.
So you talk about inspiring people. Where do you find your own inspiration? You know, day in and day out.
Yeah. I have a problem with the word inspiration. Can I tell you about it?
Sure.
Okay. So when I first came here it was my first runway show. It was at Kleinfeld. I really didn't know what was happening. It was, you know, I was like a little, like a child behind the scenes, like, you know, stressed from every dress that was going out to the runway. And at the end of the show, press came to interview me. There was so much press. You were there too, I mean, Bernard.
Yeah.
I think you're the first publication that I ever interviewed for. It was at that show.
Sure.
So many years ago. And I was like, I didn't know what to do, and I didn't speak English that well at the time. I don't speak it that well today either, but at least I can speak fluently. I try. It's a beautiful language, so I really try every day to learn more words, and Ali teaches me the good words and also sometimes the bad words.
You need to have a full breath.
Yeah, I once said on television, on live, I said a very bad word. And the anchors were looking at me and they said, did I say anything wrong? Because Ali told me that I could say bullshit. all your fault over there. Bad girl. So anyway, I remember that the only question the press was asking me was, what is your inspiration? I didn't even know what the word meant. Inspiration, like what do you mean? I said, what's your inspiration? I said, well, can you please tell me what inspiration means? I had to say it at the end of the day because I didn't know what they were talking about. I said, what makes you create? And I remember that my answer was, well, life is my inspiration. But I very quickly understood that this would be a question that I would be asked many, many times.
Yes,
so I learned the word very well, and I started really listening to what my inspiration was. So when I create a collection, it goes the other way around. It's not me deciding or finding an inspiration. It's me creating the dresses that I have as visions. I create the dresses, and when I see the dresses, that's when I understand what the inspiration
Where
is.
it came from.
Exactly. The dresses inspire me. It's not the other way around.
Sure.
So, yes, so I find inspiration mostly when I'm working with my brides one-on-one on the floor, because I'm very, very lucky to be able to meet my brides, of course in the US and all around the world. Sometimes when I don't understand the language of the country that I'm at, because I have stores all around the world, I make sure that there's someone to translate for me so that I can understand what my brides need, what they dream of, what are their fantasies, and that becomes later on my inspiration.
So, in your opinion, what makes a great leader? Because you obviously have led. You have a team here. You have a team who, seamstresses who work on your dresses. What makes a good leader?
That's a very good question. I think a good leader is someone that walks their talk. I think I'm having problems with this. Anyways, I think a great leader is someone that walks their talk. Someone that understands that it's not about them. It's really about what they need to bring to this world and what legacy they want to leave behind them. And I truly believe that being a good leader is being someone who gives an example every day, every minute. So
I had a feeling you were going to say that.
Yeah.
But maybe it's just because I know you and I know that that's how you truly do lead.
Well, you should ask the people I lead if I'm a good leader or not. I don't know. But I know that anytime they need me, I'm always there. And sometimes when I want to make a choice, even though I feel that a certain choice is better for me, but the other choice is better for what I preach for and what is good for the people that surround me, I will make that choice instead.
How do you find balance in life between work and life, and you have a son and you have a fourth grandchild on the way?
Yes.
How do you find balance?
Well, I try to live day per day. I really don't make plans for further than today or tomorrow, because that's what life is. You never know. I love sleeping, so I'm a sleeper as much as I can. I love eating, so I really try to have good food, and I'm a cook. I'm a master chef in Israel.
Oh wow!
Yes, I'm a master chef in the celebrity version of Israel, and I was runner up.
Wow, that's impressive.
So I love cooking. You'll find me most of the time in the kitchen. And I do a lot of Pilates, and I try to keep myself balanced. And on days that I feel that I'm unbalanced, I always say to myself, it's okay. It's human. It's take it easy. There are days where we are unbalanced, and especially us women. There's this awful thing called hormones.
Yes.
When you have them, they're trouble, and when you don't have them, they're trouble. So you don't really know what to do with them. I'm at the phase where I don't have them.
I'm at the phase where I have too many. Too many hormones.
It's not fair, really, it's not fair.
The same way they begin is the same way they end.
Yes.
Exactly.
Exactly.
Annoying all the time, but anyway, what can we do?
So what's one piece of advice you would give all of the young women out here if they want to start their own business or even become a fashion designer?
Well, first of all, I would tell you all to dream. No matter what dream you have, it's your dream, and you have all the rights to make it happen. It's really about what makes you happy, not anyone else. That's the number one advice that I would give you. Always follow your heart. Never give up, because you never know. The next time might be the one. I promise you. I don't believe in people that fail. I believe in people that quit trying. So follow your heart. Yes, there's hard work to put in it. I mean, there are no free lunches. Unless you marry a very wealthy man, but that's another story. It wasn't an option that I could ever accept, because I wanted to, I wanted to do it my way. So dream, believe in your dream, just go for it, go all the way. I promise you, it will happen. They do come true, these dreams, and I think I'm the living proof that they really do.
Clearly. When someone makes a mistake in their business, which I'm sure we all make mistakes at some time in our career, how do you come to terms with that mistake, and then how did you move on? Is there one in particular that comes to mind?
I've made so many mistakes, Kristen, so many mistakes, but I don't like to call them mistakes. I like to call them lessons. Everything that happens for a reason, and everything that happens is always for the best. So I've made so many mistakes, really. I think that the only mistakes that I would love to, to take back are the times that I hurt someone out of fear or ego, and I did. We all do.
Sure.
So these are the only mistakes that I really that I regret. But all the others, I bless and I thank them for being my mistakes. So there's always a second chance. Always. Every day is a new opportunity. And you can't really learn without making those mistakes. So make them.
Are there unique challenges that you think women face when trying to start their own business or something that that you could help, give some advice on how to overcome?
Well, I think that women sometimes, especially when they're mothers, they really they're concerned about needing to earn their living because they have a child.
Sure.
But I really believe that even if you do have a child and you have to, to provide, you have to think about the day where your child will look at you and say, "Mom, I admire you. You're an amazing woman," and just go for it. Don't worry. Women sometimes worry, how can I make it? The general idea is that it's more of a men's world, although I truly don't see it like that. I think I'm sorry for the men that are sitting here, but I apologize. But we are definitely stronger. I mean, you're carrying a baby, you know what it is. We bring life. So if we can bring life, we can do anything. By the way, we brought them to life. Sorry, man, I'm sorry. It's time for the world to change a little bit. I really believe that if women would really rule the world, operate the world, I would say a better word, run the world, it would be a much better place, because what woman in the world would like to send her child to war?
Sure. So what's next for Pnina Tornai?
Do we, how many hours do we have? Well, you know, it's endless. It really is. First thing that I would love is to be able to cater every bride in the world. Because I believe that my dresses, I know, not only believe that they're made out of love. So when a bride puts on my dress, and I can see it when she's standing in front of the mirror and she sees herself for the first time, I can see it on her face, and there's nothing that makes me happier. So now I have the couture line, and then I also have a diffusion line, which is called Love by Pnina Tornai. And it's at a much better price point because I managed to find a way to manufacture my dresses with my touch and my feel at a more affordable price point. I would love it to even become more and more and more affordable so that I could really reach and touch every bride out there in the world. I hope I'll have my own show very soon.
That would be exciting.
American television. Cross your fingers.
That would be very exciting.
And I want to be on Dancing with the Stars. I have to be on Dancing with the Stars. I have to. And I promise you all I'll dance with these heels. You'll see. Nobody can do it better than me.
I believe that. I believe that for sure. Well, those are all the questions that I have. I'd love to open it up to the audience. Who has a question? Over here.
I've been waiting.
Oh my gosh, sorry.
Sorry, I'm going to take it a little more. First off, I watch a show. Please have a show. I'll be a little more lighthearted. First off, I would just say it is so amazing to have a beautiful, strong Israeli Jewish woman representing us.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you.
It's an honor. I don't know if many people here know, but if you go to Kleinfeld, you do have the option of some modest bridal gowns.
I do.
And they have a whole section. I'm an avid Say Yes to the Dress watcher, and I've yet to see you who does such beautiful kind of, see-through, sexy, beautiful, sensuous dresses, do something modest. And as someone who generally dresses modestly, I was wondering, do you do some modest dressing of your gowns? Are you able to sort of take your touch and make it more modest? Have you tried that? And I'd love to hear about.
What is your name, my love?
I'm Jennifer.
Jennifer. So my son is an Orthodox, very, very Orthodox. Sometimes it's difficult to be the mother of an Orthodox when you're not Orthodox, and when you go to.
He's observant.
Yeah, very observing, very.
Observant of the religion.
A little too much, I would say. Okay, because when my granddaughter says to me, "Grandma, this is not modest." Okay, and I dress very modest when I go there, so you can imagine. But yes, as I said before, I'm very sensitive to other people's needs and cultures. So I design the most beautiful saris for Indian brides. I design the most beautiful modest dresses for the daughters of the biggest rabbis in the world. It's all about the bride's need. It's not really about me, it's about what my bride needs. So yes, absolutely. We have some very modest dresses. Are you married?
No.
Okay. So you know what?
I'm still waiting.
I promise you'll have the dress of your dreams, as modest as you want it to be.
Yes, in the green.
I kind of also have a Say Yes to the Dress question. So you told a story about how you had a somewhat disastrous beginning with Kleinfelds, and now you're basically a staple. And I feel like 75% of the episodes of you make an appearance.
Of course, revenge. I
guess my question is more of like from a business standpoint, how did you turn that relationship around and have you now become that staple of Kleinfeld? Like you can't think of Kleinfeld without thinking of
Thank you, my love. What's your name?
Alana?
Alana? Beautiful name. So my sister's name is Elanit, so it's very close. Well, I didn't do anything, really. My dresses did. Everybody loved them. The American bride, embraced my dresses, and that's how it happened. I became, overnight, their leading designer, and the rest was history. Yeah, of course I do. I mean, until today when we have a meeting, I always say, at the end of the meeting, well, if you don't want my dresses,
Oh my.
I've been exclusive to Kleinfeld since then, because the first thing Mara said to me when she saw the wonder of these dresses selling like crazy, she said, I just need you to sign a little exclusivity contract, and I did it with all my heart. And I thank them today for making it so difficult for me. I thanked Mara personally. I said to her, you know, if you hadn't made it so difficult, I would never have been so successful. So again, that's one of the lessons.
Yeah, it's being grateful for the opportunities as much as some of the rejections.
Every obstacle is an opportunity. Every risk you take is an opportunity. Yeah.
Hi, I'm a wedding officiant, and something that I've started doing this year is for my brides who want to do the ritual of hand fasting, is that I've been using part of their the fabric from their bridal gown to sew onto the hand fasting. So the hand fasting wrap. And so a lot of them, actually yours has been a very popular gown. I always ask them just in conversation, like, oh, who's the designer of your dress? Pnina. I'm like, okay. And the funny thing is, a lot of my brides, I don't get to meet them in person. Sometimes they're booking me last minute. I've talked to them on the phone, but I've never actually met them in person. So my first kind of connection with them is when they send me that swatch in the mail, and I get it. And obviously I watch your gowns like change based on people's cultural needs. So when I get that, and it's from like Kleinfelds, they get their dress hem, and I get it. Sometimes your gown is, or the fabric is the first interaction or connection I'm getting with the bride. So I'm just wondering, what is like the most, I don't want to say outlandish, but like interesting cultural situation that you've ever had to engage in creating like a custom gown for someone?
I mean, I bless every different request that I get from any culture out there. So I've made saris, I've made dresses for Orthodox Muslim brides, which is, you know, really covering the whole head with, and I always try to do it in order to flatter my bride, because I know that it's not easy for a woman to be without her hair. So everything Orthodox brides, like up to here and down to here, and you can't see a piece of skin. So it's really, everything is so fascinating, so challenging for me. Yeah, all of the cultures, I really do. I have stores all around the world. China, I have a store in Africa, Europe, everywhere. I mean, it's amazing. That's what I really bless most.
That's awesome. Thank you.
Yes. You're welcome.
Hi, how you doing? So glad to talk to you. My grandson loves you. I wanted to know, you design dresses, right? Do you custom make them for the person? Like if someone says, okay, I want you to make this dress for me.
Absolutely.
And
I
you add
custom
your
make.
own touch to it.
Well, I understand what my customer or bride needs and what she wants and what she's, you know, dreaming of. And yes, absolutely. I'll custom make anything. I once had a bride who wanted a pair of wings. Beautiful wings. The theme of her wedding was, it was like a fairy tale wedding.
Sure.
So her father was a wizard, she was a fairy, and she had the most beautiful tattoo all over her back and her arm. It was so beautiful. It was vines with roses. It was amazing. And I designed a pair of wings for her. I hope they worked.
That's
I hope she could fly.
So she had them coming out like
Yes, big beautiful feather wings, absolutely. I'll custom make whatever a bride or a customer will ask me to, because it's not about me. It's really about making your dreams come true. That's, I mean, how more privileged can I be than to be the one who makes your dress dreams come true?
Hi. So
I saw you in the elevator.
yeah, elevator together. Yeah. So you talked a little bit about life balance already, but obviously when you're starting your own business, you have to hustle a little bit more. And like, do you have any tips on like having a life, but also like really putting your all into your business?
I have to tell you that at the beginning, there's no life. There's only business, okay? But that's part of, the journey, and that's part of what you need to accept. I think that's how we are tested, if we really, really want to get there, and how much we do. So at the beginning, it's very, very tough. My tip would be, don't forget to drink, don't forget to eat, and don't forget to breathe. The 3 most important things to keep your balance more or less working. And just understand that it's just like a baby, when a baby's born, and Kristen will soon know, you need to be 100% with them, because they can do nothing on their own. And then little by little they start crawling and walking and running, and they become adults, and then you can say, okay, I raised a beautiful child. Same with business.
All right, I think we have one in the gray back there.
Hi, Pnina. Thank you for taking your time to speak with us today. My question is, it's been said that women tend to leave about $500,000 on the table by non-negotiating, or by just not speaking up for their financial worth. If thinking back on your career, is there a decision that you made that now, looking back at it, you wish you had approached differently in regards to your business, or
Yes, of course. I wasn't a good negotiator at the beginning. I would accept anything because I didn't know there was a choice to negotiate. Today, I dare you negotiate me.
I believe that.
Especially when it's a man. That's when I show them who's the negotiator here. You're gonna hate me. I also take questions from men, by the way.
Hi, my question is about, I guess, criticism, because when you do work with custom pieces, I'm sure that you deal with some personalities, and so how would you deal with someone who gave you like a negative reaction? I'm sure
I've had many negative reactions in my life. Again, some of them were very important because I had to learn. And looking back, I really thank those who have given me tough criticism, who told me the truth. And I truly prefer an ugly truth than a beautiful lie. So criticism, yes, when you're working, when you're doing something, down comes, criticism. It's just a way of accepting it, listening to it. You know yourself better than anyone else. You know exactly what you're doing and where you're doing it from. So as long as you're true to yourself and you don't compromise, you'll listen to the criticism. If it is important, if you have to learn something from it, go ahead and embrace it. And if not, you can always look at the person and say to yourself, it's not about me, it's about them. It's really talking about themselves. Many people do. When they come to you with criticism, they're actually criticizing themselves. So it's just finding, the fine border between those two.
Hola.
Hola.
I just wanted to say that I love the positivity that
suit I'm wearing?
The suit especially, but the positivity that you're radiating and preaching, because you do have a realist point of view. We all know this world is not butterflies and rainbows, right? So thank you for that. Your life advice, I just kept nodding my head and just, yes, this is exactly what I think we needed to hear. So thank you for that.
Thank you so much, because I was looking at you and you really encouraged me. And yes, it's true, we do, with social media, we do live in quite a difficult world, because most of it is not real. Most of it is trying to look like or living other people's lives. And I think that's the main problem that we have today, making the difference between what is real and what is fake. And when I am on social media, I always make sure that what you see is really who I am. I sometimes, I've tried to take these perfect pictures, but it just doesn't happen. And using filters for me is like, why should I use a filter? Life doesn't really have filters. When you're in real life, people see you the way you are. So it is very important to keep that, sanity and to be real. It always works, by the way.
Oh, and I also liked how you said, you mentioned life as your inspiration, because that's actually what I wrote.
I saw that.
I'm most excited about today is life. Just the fact that I woke up, I'm alive, I'm breathing, and embrace everything that life throws at me. So you said that, and I was like, oh my God, like she's speaking to my soul.
Yeah, we forget the little things, and God is in the little things. And just breathing and being healthy and being, and communicating with one another is already a big gift.
We have a question back there. Hi.
So I really appreciate your message to women and your support of women, and I'm curious what you do in your supply chain to help support women, as most of fashion is made by women for other women. How do your factories work? How do your mills work? Like, do you make sure to have a relationship with them to help empower the women in your supply chain?
So I can't call my business, or my team, my working team, because they really are my family. Many of I call them my colleagues, have been working with me for over 20 years. And we're really one big family. And the thing I'm proud most about my business is that in Tel Aviv, I have an atelier, and the people, the women and the men also that work with me are a beautiful mixture of different cultures, religions. We have Israelis, we have Russians, we have South Americans, we have Muslim Arabs, and we all work together with so much love. So, for me, each and every one of them is my family. I talk to them, I know everything that happens in their lives. Every morning I do the tour of each and every one and ask them about what's going on at the moment in their lives. I have Ali and Michal. Michal is the head of operations of my business, and Ali is the director of my store at Kleinfeld. Christina, who does social media for us. And I think I know more about them than their mothers. Everything. I always make sure to take my time and dedicate it to listening to them, to hearing what they have to say, to helping them if they need, and to make them understand that nothing of this would happen. Nothing. I would never be who I am without my wonderful team of dedicated women and men. Absolutely.
Hello?
Hello.
Hi. You said earlier how much you like my suit. I love your suit. And as somebody...
I usually have nothing to wear. I really do. I go around my atelier every morning. I come to work and I say, I have nothing to wear.
Oh, man.
Because I'm always busy creating these collections for everyone else but myself. So this is one of mine.
Yes. Well, it is wonderful. And further, I guess, I would say, as somebody who I'm not getting married anytime soon, but I am looking to have a great Pnina experience. Is there a possibility of you doing a power suit line for women in business and just having that, like, every first day or every interview or whatever you need to have a great suit to put on?
Careful, because you might end up wearing Superwomen's outfit. If I could.
But you said, you said earlier that you had started kind of in a ready-to-wear sort of, aspect of your career, and now that you think helping women with such an important day, well, there are other important days where we would love Pnina. So I was just wondering if maybe in the future or down the line that would be something that you have considered or are considering.
Definitely, definitely. I do have an evening line. That's one thing that I do have already, but let's say I'm wearing a suit at Kleinfeld and the mother of the bride or the bride herself, who's a businesswoman, would say to me, where can I get that suit? And I'll always say, you know what, we don't have them, they're not ready to sell, but I'll make you one. Yes, I would love to. In order to do that, I need to grow my business and expand it so that it would have the possibility of manufacturing. You know, you need to manufacture more than one at a time, because if it would be custom made, it would be very, very expensive. So yes, I mean, if anyone is interested, I'll do it with great pleasure. You'll be the first to know.
Other questions? Well, thank you so much, everyone. Thank you so much.
Men didn't ask me anything.
They're intimidating.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you, Kristen.
Thank you.
You're an amazing interviewer.
Oh, thank you.
You really are.
Thank you. She's been giving me all the tips for having a baby. So feel free to network and chat and have something to eat. And thank you so much for being here.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.